Welcome to Who Put This On, Season 6, Episode 1, where we watch Taskmaster, Season 4, Episode 6. Chris Lorenz.
This is Brian.
Hey, this is James.
Noah Singer.
Max Maxter.
Taskabeth.
I'm Harrison Hoffman.
If this is your first time listening to us, we watch a different reality show each week, and we discuss it in minute detail, figure out if it's good or bad. We've done a lot of them.
What's another name for minute detail?
Minutia?
Oh, yeah. Minutia.
We'll get to the minutia
Yeah.
now.
Anyway,
All right, now you got a drink already. Come on, guys. Harrison, what show do we watch this week?
Taskmaster is our hilarious game show with a difference. As the Taskmaster, Greg Davies sets a series of stupefying tasks to a group of comedians, with Alex Horn assisting as his right-hand man, coaxing the hopeful champions to show their creative competitiveness. That's Taskmaster on UK TV?
This show has changed channels 4 times. This is apparently common in the UK.
It's a British show.
Yes.
It's on YouTube. There will be a link in the show description.
Yep.
My guess it was on Channel 4.
It was on Channel 4. It was also on Dave, I
know.
believe. They have a channel called Dave.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into this. The show's a little different than our typical reality show. There's a series of challenges given to a group of people, which are somewhat of a celebrity. I think that's debatable, as we can talk about that. And there's a winner at the end, gets to win nothing, essentially. But we'll get into the actual specifics.
Sure. The format is you have a bunch of people in a theater, including an audience, and you have 5 comedians, and each of these comedians is assigned a task that they do sort of off-site, and they sort of re-watch what they did 6 months ago. Each comedian sometimes takes a different approach to a task that's like pass a camel through the smallest gap possible. And points are rewarded just based on whatever the Taskmaster wants. Sometimes it's based on, who did the task the best. Sometimes it is who did the funniest job. And yeah, that's the show.
So one clarification, it's not just any camel. It is a miniature toy stuffed animal camel.
Sure, yeah.
I think that's an important clarification.
Let's get into the task. Let's just start with the beginning of the show, where there's 2 hosts. Greg Davis, which is the...
Davies,
thank you.
Got some real Greg Davies fans over there.
He is the judge. He's
Yes.
the one that determines who wins and determines if you've broken any rules. Then we have Alex.
Little Alex Horn is what they call him.
He is the person that, he's the referee during the task. He gives the task. He's there, verifying things as we go along, and he'll describe. He's kind of the play-by-play guy.
Yeah, his IMDb title is assistant.
Yes. So in the show, he's kind of playing a character of, sort of Greg Davies' little bitch.
Yeah.
The fun fact, Alex Horn is the creator of the show, so he wrote himself into this position. And yeah, he's just always talking up the Taskmaster and how much he loves the Taskmaster and he loves his job. And that sort of gave me pause for recommending the show to the podcast, because people are playing characters, but I feel like every host on all of these shows is playing a character in a way.
Yeah.
So I decided to submit it.
That's our favorite topic to discuss.
Is it a reality
this
show?
a reality show or not?
Do we want to get into it this quick, or should we hold on to it?
I think we should hold.
We can hold.
Yeah, we should probably
Okay.
go over the show.
Yeah.
The episode, sorry.
Let's go over. Let's talk about this first challenge. So each week, it seems there's a couple set challenges. One of them is bring something.
Yeah, it's like show and tell.
So they had to bring the best sheep-related item. And I have what everyone brought.
Sure.
Ooh.
So we have Noel. Noel brought a woolen doll that he crocheted of himself.
And it has a tiny penis.
Yeah.
And balls.
And balls.
Yeah.
Don't forget the balls.
One thing to note is I guarantee he did not crochet this doll.
Definitely not.
No one brought any of these things, really, I think. This is just a writing room.
They do bring them in. Some people, but okay. Sort of the idea is every show somebody brings stuff in for the show and tell, and whoever wins a single show brings them home. the things they bring in are very real. Nobody actually goes home with it. Like everybody takes back what they brought in. So that's not real.
Let's see.
But like people have brought in like their marriage certificate and stuff. It's like bring in the most important documents in your life, and
That's funny.
That's great. And we'll
Yeah.
take it away from you forever.
Yeah, that's really good.
We have Mel. She brought in raw wool, just wool.
sure.
Gross.
She lost. She was very ridiculed for bringing in this wool. She had some stupid story too about it. It was terrible.
Well, she said that she found it, and I'm not sure how you just find
You just
it.
pull it off the sheet.
Off the sheep, yeah.
Yeah.
You shear that sheep.
You found a sheep and you took its wool.
My favorite family activity.
Then we got Hugh Dennis.
Yes,
He brought in a sheep hat.
that's correct. From
He
Kenya.
got from in Africa. You were more specific. Then we got Joe. He brought in lamb shank. And we got Lolly. Brought in a sheep, an angry sheep that she adopted online, like a piece of paper, and she won.
Yeah.
So the Taskmaster went through all those 5 things, spent excruciating detail going over what these things were, and then picked his winner and who was the loser. So
Yeah. And then each person is assigned points per episode. So, best person gets 5 points, worst person gets 1 point.
yeah, so there's an actual there is a Taskmaster's making this stuff up, but at the end of the day, it's still like who won the most challenges.
Yeah, yeah.
Throughout that.
Does each show have 5 tasks, or does the amount of tasks vary?
No, that is about correct. You have 1 show and tell task, 3 offsite tasks, and 1 in-person audience task.
We can go over the next task, which you've already briefly discussed, which was get a camel, like a
stuffed camel.
through the smallest gap.
A baby miniature toy stuffed camel.
Yeah, it's hard to tell you exactly how big this thing is unless you've watched the episode. Because
I mean,
that
it's,
definitely
it's bigger than a soda can,
It's,
but smaller than a bowling ball.
Like two hands.
I think it's roughly head-sized.
like
Yeah.
it's not a Beanie Baby.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
No.
we what's bigger than a Beanie Baby? It's like smaller than a Cabbage Patch doll.
Yeah.
It's really hard to describe. Anyway, we have
That felt like a decent description.
And yeah, then each comedian, independent of all the other comedians, they don't know what the other comedians are doing, just tries to do this task in the best way possible. So Lolly,
Well, like, it also seems like an important to note as part of the task. Like, they are written down a set of rules on this paper.
yes,
They read them, and then like it seems like part of the game is trying to figure out how you can sort of bend the rules as much as you can.
absolutely. That is the real delight of this show for me, of reading the rules and me personally figuring out, okay, how would I do this? And then, seeing my expectations blown out the water by the comedians.
I mean, the comedian's real goal is to be the most entertaining.
Yes.
Because the most entertaining people get to be on the show more.
Gotta
Like,
get those style
like
points.
if you are not entertaining but do these all the best, like
So I've watched 4, I'm going to call them seasons, even though the Brits call them series. I've watched 4 seasons of this, and repeat. There's only been 1 repeat for like 1 challenge when they needed like a team challenge of 3 people versus 3 people, but they only have 5 people. So they brought somebody in from a previous season.
okay, so each season is a new
Minutia, sorry.
Okay, real minutia there. So Lolly went through and just like took the doll and tried to shove it through the smallest gap. Like she ended up shoving it through like the door handle of the oven, and it was like 3 centimeters.
A very,
It was like that's small, that's tight.
Yeah.
that you couldn't get it much tighter than
it was very straightforward, but a good approach.
that. And then we had Noel. He cut it with scissors, just tried to cut it into pieces and shove it through a cutting board hole.
It was like really, they kept talking about it on the show because the show has a built-in podcast, which rules.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, it's very Jeffrey Dahmer of you. And yeah,
Well,
I agree.
for a quick correction, Noel tried to do it through a paper towel
Yes.
hole, not a cutting board.
that is correct.
Cutting
Joe
board
did
was the other
cutting
white
board.
guy.
Oh, Joe did the cutting board. Okay.
They both have OEs in their name. It's an understandable.
They both, well, Joe and Hugh also tried to blend it,
Yes.
Yeah.
and Joe broke the blender, correct?
Yes, and then they didn't fix it in time for Joe to do it.
Or
no,
Hugh.
Hugh broke the blender.
Hugh
Yeah.
broke. I wasn't sure. I forgot who broke it.
Hugh Dennis, full name.
Man,
broke the blender.
People with two first names for their whole name, it's wild.
And then somebody managed to get it through 0.9 millimeters.
Yeah,
Or
somebody
point-
just pulled it
0.9
through
centimeters.
pulled it through like just like a door and a wall, and somehow it worked.
I think that was Hugh.
Yeah.
And then Mel drove to a Gap store
Baby Gap.
in 10 minutes, which I definitely believe.
The house is in London.
I was saying I believe it.
Okay.
And that may or may not be what I actually believe. But yeah. She won, right? Correct? That challenge?
yeah.
She
Yes.
did win. Yeah.
Wait, Baby Gap won?
Baby
Yeah.
Gap
Baby
won.
Gap won.
She won on humor factor.
So yeah, the Taskmaster can make whatever call he wants. He's the Taskmaster.
Very much like whose line is it anyway? Where at the end of it, it's 50,000 points for doing
sure.
that thing.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Like, it's kind of structured and not structured at the same time. Because, like, Mel gets the unstructured win, but she only gets 5 points, and that's, like, doesn't automatically make her win the episode.
Yeah, it's really interesting because this show has a lot of like, very scientific, you got 3.1 centimeters, and then nobody gives a shit. Somebody went to Baby Gap and they win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely provides most of, like, some of its entertainment is destroying the rules.
Yeah, it's a great balance of Greg Davies' subjectivity versus this structure that we're talking about. We don't have the words to describe it, but it is perfect balance.
Yeah, and our next challenge, what was it? They had to score a goal with a
Wait. Are we not going to talk about how we would put the camel through the gap? I feel like that is... there is a huge thing we need to talk about here. What ideas do we have? I was thinking you have to... They made a joke about, like, some guy was like, oh, like, am I supposed to birth the camel? But my first idea was, like, you put your arm really close to your body and you kind of pull the camel through the arm and then how does that guy measure the gap? It's going to be 0. So anyway.
It's an elastic gap. I think that's a great idea.
Exactly. I would love to hear all of our ideas.
I'm going to tell you my initial idea, which was a blender. So, when they do what you want and you're like, oh, this clearly isn't going to work. It feels good.
I think the spatchcocking idea was good.
Yeah.
Where you take all the stuffing out and then you like shove it through a gap and then throw the stuffing in secondary. I think that's really, I think, the clear winner here.
Everyone was weirdly slow at dismantling the camel. Noel was cutting it up so precisely in small pieces. I think you just have to do a big slit and just empty out all the stuffing at once.
Or just take a knife and just go.
I don't know. The people that did the taking out the intestines, with the stuffing, there was a lot of stuffing that they actually couldn't complete the job because it was so hard to manage.
Well, how would you do it, Mr. Know-It-All over there?
I haven't thought about this. It was the first challenge we saw, and I didn't realize the whole gimmick with trying to interpret the rules. So I really thought they were trying to do some birth canal shit. So I wasn't. I was pleasantly surprised when I went through not birth canal holes. I'll have to think if I come up with anything creative, but right now my brain is not at that point.
Well, think about the next challenge.
I did remember one other idea I had, which was empty all the guts out into a big plastic bag, but now you have more room to work with, so you can probably squeeze it through smaller holes.
Like an octopus.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought when Mel was getting in the car, I thought she was going to run over the camel with the car and somehow try to flatten it. And that, I don't know what you would do then, but
That's it. You just run it over with a car.
is that a gap though? I feel like
I think it works.
There's got to be some gap between the tire and the road, no?
That's true.
How to get there?
That's true. Maybe that's the ideal way to do it.
There you
I
go.
thought she was going to a Subway because they're mind the gap.
Ooh, and just tossed it.
But
the train.
Wow.
I was very pleased. I did not expect to see Baby Gap. I was very pleased.
That
when I
was
saw
really
that.
good. I think she was the rightful winner.
Oh, yeah.
Question: do you think that house had matches?
Yes.
Yeah, set that thing on fire real quick, and then just take the
10
ashes.
minutes.
Oh, Brian, that's good.
But you can make a big fire.
So there is one
kind
thing.
of accelerant, man.
Throw it in a garbage can with some matches.
There is one thing
I
I
don't
need
know.
to tell you guys immediately, which is I texted one of my groups of friends like, "Hey, has anybody seen Taskmaster?" One of my friends who lives in Boston now writes back like, "Yeah, I did like Taskmaster game night with all my friends. It was really fun.
Ooh.
They have a board game and stuff. I would love to. I would love to do a personal Taskmaster.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Annabeth, since you asked, what kind of sheep-related item would you have brought?
That's a really good question. I have this is not a sheep, but I have like a stuffed like little alpaca dude. But I don't know if I have a good sheep item.
I mean, alpacas are the sheep of the South America.
Maybe I would spin it that way
Yeah.
and see what that got me.
They have pulled more bullshit on this show.
I think the lamb shank should have won. That's what I would have brought.
I was mouth watering at that lamb shank. That looks great.
Yeah.
Well, when
Okay,
you were talking
okay.
about
Hit
how
me, hit me, hit
Well,
me,
okay, but before we move on from the lamb shank thing, I have a pet peeve with the lamb shank.
hit me.
It was a photo of a lamb shank. It wasn't an actual.
No,
item.
it was.
No, it was.
It was behind the stage.
Oh, okay.
I
Then I'm okay
agree with
it.
you that you should be able to physically see,
See,
item.
smell, and taste.
but
Yeah.
like when Lolly went up afterwards, they had all the items backstage.
okay,
She
I'm
she
relieved
did
now.
try to take a bite out of it and it didn't seem very good because I don't know how
Yeah.
long it's been sitting
Oh,
there.
totally.
the whole show.
does anybody else have a good sheep item to bring in?
No.
I need time to think about it.
The one that pops in my head is Lamb Chop, the hand puppet.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
that's good. That's a good one.
All right, let's go on to the next challenge. While everyone thinks about their challenge, we come back to it if you want. They had to score a goal with a plastic bag being scored on the least number of kicks
But also the time to get there,
and time.
and,
And
also
you can't
extra
touch
point,
it with your hands.
extra points for style.
Well, there was one extra point for the most stylish.
Yes.
So you get maximum 6 points if you are the quickest, and you got the style points. So the one that was interesting in this was Hugh did what everyone here was thinking, like put it on his foot, and then just like walked it. He like danced it into the goal. Really,
Yeah.
is really what he did, and it was very entertaining. It was obviously the best way to do it.
I think he has to dance in actually, because like if he just walks forward, the plastic bag's gonna slip off the foot. You kind of have to move a little bit side to side to get the friction right with the shoe, so it doesn't actually slip off.
Yeah. So Mel got disqualified
Yep.
because she touched it with her hands.
Oh no! He said he was gonna let it slide.
Oh, okay. I forget.
She used a golf tee to tie it to her shoe or something.
She should have been disqualified.
It was also unclear if she was disqualified because he made a joke and then they just moved on.
Yeah.
Because like he made some, and I don't know what the joke was, but it was something to the effect of like, "I'll let you off with a little touch."
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
something.
Yeah. And then she's like, "Is that a good thing?"
Right.
Yeah.
And then nobody addressed it. We're like, okay, on to the next.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing to know is Joe won style points because he said he like ran around the studio when his video was announced. But Annabeth, how would you have done this challenge?
Thank you for asking. I would have gone down on the ground and tried to have gotten the plastic bag between my head and my shoulder and then stood up and sort of pranced through the goal. That's what I would have done.
Yeah. I feel like I would have tried to get the ball into the bag, and that was a bad idea. Because I think getting the bag on your
Yeah.
foot is clearly the best idea.
They very often like put these other objects there as red herrings to get your mind working the wrong way.
Totally.
It's so good.
Yeah, because there was a ball. There was a
Yeah.
soccer ball right next to it. So
Yeah.
I would have immediately done that. And that would have been the wrong thing.
Mine, the way I would have done it is really gross. I just pick it up with my teeth.
That's a good idea.
I thought about that
Yeah.
too. I think that's a valid. When they said no hands, I was like, well,
But it's also funny.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that gross.
I mean, who knows how long that bag's been there?
It seemed like a clean bag.
well, it was also like a branded bag. It was like a special bag that said like tasked
Oh,
on it
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
something.
yeah.
So it's a special clean bag.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one. But I would have went kind of like the Mel route. But I would. You can take one of your shoes off, right? So now you have an exposed foot, and you can use your toes to stuff the bag in your other shoe.
Oh, like a sock.
Kind of.
Yeah, sure.
Like
yeah.
not exact sock. Like imagine it's like picking something up with your toes, like off the ground, and like literally sliding it into now like the little pocket of your shoe, and then you just go walk in.
You just tuck it basically into
Yeah.
like your soccer shoe. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think you're onto something with taking your shoe off to use your toes though to get some extra grip.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
That's a
I
great
like
idea.
that. Or you could hold it in your toes and then roll your body on the ground into the goal.
Yeah.
No
just-
kick.
I love how open-ended these challenges are. I love that there's 20 different ways to solve them. It really does it for me.
All right.
Spoilers for my rating.
After this, we had a Mel punishment where they just gave a task. They showed a montage of all these Mel, like, oh, great. And like,
You may recognize Mel from the Great British Baking Show, Bake Off. I don't
Bake
know.
Off.
Okay. Seasons 1 through 4. I didn't really like her that much in that show, but she's great in this show.
they changed the name to. In
I
the
think it's
US
different in the
versus
US,
UK.
yeah.
US versus UK. Before anyone tweets at us. At Who Put This On. So,
That was some good product placement right there.
so she's given a task that she is alone has to do, which is hide this giant ball from Alex. So she's in the middle of this football pitch and is just trying to get this ball out the stadium.
It's
And
huge.
It's like giant. She's like a good like foot and a half above her.
Yeah.
And she just can't. She can't do it. She tries to get it over the wall poorly, mind you. That is definitely not how you.
She
would
doesn't
that.
do a great job. But yeah,
It was
sometimes
very entertaining.
the hosts just like give people bullshit tasks that only they have to do. It's very good.
This was such a good one, though. I wanted to see everybody do this one. I thought this was a really good task.
Yeah, yeah.
I was a little sad that she didn't get any points. Like, just give her like a point.
A little extra. God, I have so much other stuff from other seasons I want to talk about, but I'm just going to keep it to myself.
Yeah, and then she also had other tasks where she had to blow up the ball in the house and then take it out of that house and score a goal with it. It literally was on there for like 20 seconds.
Yep. Side note, she had to deflate it to get it out of the house.
Yeah, it wasn't in a garage or anything. But that was very entertaining. I like that. The next challenge everyone had to do was there was a sleeping bag in a room, which the set dressing in this house is pretty good. And there was stuff in the sleeping bag, and they had to figure out what was in the sleeping bag without taking the things out of the sleeping bag or looking in the sleeping bag. So people were just like feeling and guessing what things were. Most of them, at least. And then Hugh, he was like, well, I'm not taking them out of the bag. I'm dumping them out of the bag.
I kind of agree with Hugh on this.
And the judges would take none of that. You took them out of the bag, and he was disqualified.
The judge.
Both judges were also. I mean, both of them were.
But no. Technically, there is one judge. The
No,
other guy's
you're
just
right.
a pat. He's just like, yes, sir.
You're right. There is one judge, but the assistant also was not happy about it.
I think Hugh made a really good case for this, though.
I agree.
This is one of the worst calls I've seen in Taskmaster history.
I
Wow.
disagree. He took them out of the bag.
I mean, he just opened the bag and happened to lift it, and the things happened to fall out.
Yeah.
He didn't
I
take
agree.
them.
I would give it more of an accident if he like opened a shelf and like, oh, the sleeping bag fell off. I just opened the shelf. No, he picked the sleeping bag up and dumped them on the floor. He like literally that's taken out of it.
Side note for the audience, the items were a policeman's helmet, is skipping rope made of carrots and a rope, a John Grisham book, a
Time to Kill.
tortoise,
I like a toy tortoise.
a toy tortoise.
Oh
Thought
my
you were
God,
gonna
if
say
it
a
was
toy
live.
tortoise. They say
Tortoise.
They say tortoise. It's very funny. Was there anything else?
A frisbee.
A
with-
frisbee with fennel Velcro. No,
Taped.
Clear masking tape.
I think, yeah, taped to it.
They kept saying it was Velcroed on, so it was very weird.
I mean, it must make a similar sound. Maybe it was like cellophane, like saran wrap.
It was saran wrapped.
Okay. Somebody said taped. And I
It
just ran
definitely
with it.
they shaped in a way like I think they described it well on the show, like those Velcro like circle paddles you put on your hand in the
Yeah.
summer and throw the tennis ball back and forth.
And I think most of them got two right, which was the book and the turtle.
Yeah,
toys.
Yeah, most of them thought the Bobby helmet was a construction helmet.
Yeah.
Somebody describes it as a YMCA helmet.
You know,
somebody
the construction worker from the YMCA.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. If you keep it as YMCA helmet, that works. That is a YMCA helmet. It's not the one you thought it was.
Yes.
She got too specific.
Well, some people just said helmet, and that apparently was
That's fine.
not specific enough. So who knows?
Did
Anyway,
anyone get credit for the skipping rope thing, or did they not because they didn't get the carrot
No.
part?
they didn't get it right.
No one got it because of the carrots.
One person broke the carrot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They said it was a. They didn't say it was a butt plug, but somebody else said it was a butt plug. Joe, I believe.
Yeah.
I think I don't know who won that. I think like 3 of them tied.
3
for
of them
2.
got 2 out of 5, and they all got 5 points because they were first.
So that's the end of the external challenges.
Yep.
Now there's an in-person challenge where they're like kind of on a stage in the studio. And there's 2 parts. So the part 1 was prepare these items for the second part, which there's just each one has a pedestal with like 8 things on it. And there's like
Saran
saran
wrap,
wrap, duckies,
Oranges,
Grapes.
So like no one knew what's going on, so it's all just people just doing silly things.
Yeah.
Somebody took it and put it on the judge. Took all their items, put it on the judge. Somebody wrapped their whole thing in saran wrap. Those are the people that actually helped for the second part, which was put all the items in one hand and your other on top of your head, and the fastest one wins. So the person that put it
Noel.
all on Noel, won because he just ran down there, put his hand, like felt up Greg, and they counted that. The judge liked that.
Yeah.
I agree. And
I
self.
disagree.
Oh.
What was the rule on this? I thought the rule
Oh.
was pretty clearly that you have to be holding all of the items in one hand and the other hand on your head. Is that incorrect?
That is correct.
So
But I
I
think-
make the argument, hear me out, which is he's not holding the judge with all of the items. He just simply has his hand on the judge. I don't think that counts as holding all of the items.
I think that's.
But you're holding part of the judge.
Hold on.
You're touching the judge.
Well,
If he lifted the judge up, I would give it to you.
Holding doesn't
Okay.
necessarily mean lifting.
Why did the other contestant lift the entire table with all of the stuff cellophane wrapped to it?
Okay, for our audience, I currently have my hand wrapped around Noah's arm. Am I holding Noah?
Are you holding Noah's shirt? Is a better question, maybe.
That's a good question.
like you do say like you're holding hands, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're holding that
It's
person.
true.
Yeah, you're
Definition
not
of holding.
when you're holding hands, you're not holding other person.
Like when you got a firm grasp on somebody's butt.
But
I mean, you're like, are you holding that person?
Are you holding the butt? Are you touching the butt?
wait, Chris, is it juicy or no? This is important.
Obviously, you got the Y part of the juicy, the C and Y.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's a difference between holding something and holding something up. I think that like if you're just holding it, then it's like it is in your hand, you're holding it, but holding something
Yeah.
up, there has to be some against gravity movement.
I believe the phrasing was holding, and the phrasing is very important in this show.
But are you holding, like, if I am holding something, am I holding all the things that are touching that something? I don't think so.
I mean, ultimately, if it makes the Taskmaster happy, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is clearly a thing where it was funny and they just let it go.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. And I think that's the beauty of the show. Is like, you know, you want to get to semantics on some of these things. I wouldn't give it to him if this was like the Olympics. Like, no, you're out. You didn't do it right. You're not holding them. You're just holding somebody's ass. Like, that's not right.
So to roll back a bit, well, okay, how would you guys do this task, knowing perhaps if you didn't know what part 2 was?
That's too difficult.
It's too different. Okay,
Because you know what part 2
Yeah,
is.
right.
I feel like I would have taken some of that fruit and tried to squeeze it into that glass that was there. I think that was my initial thought when I saw that table, but I couldn't see everything on the table at first. They didn't
Sure.
give you a great glimpse.
they did not.
I would have liked a longer look at the items to like sort of ponder what could part 2 be.
Yeah,
And I feel like they rushed it a bit, and so By the time I was like, oh, let me look at these items, they were already just like doing stuff.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I was thinking I would like put them all in my shirt or something because I thought part 2 was going to be like transporting the items somewhere.
Oh, okay. I mean, I saw that jar up there, and that made me sort of think, and I saw like at least 2 different fruit things. So I'm like, maybe they have to consume something. So I was like, for a moment, I'm like, maybe you try to juice these fruits, but I had no idea what the other objects were. So it was tough. It was a tough one.
Yeah, I agree. The second part's obviously pretty easy. You try to put them on a desk.
Once you know the second part, you just got to take that cellophane wrap and just wrap everything up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We might be past this point, but does anybody want to talk about how they would do the sleeping bag challenge?
Okay, it didn't seem against the rules to put your hands in the sleeping bag
Correct.
and not look. And
Correct.
I was shocked that none of these 5 people did that.
Same.
I would have done iPhone recording on a stick.
Oh.
I think I would have tried to accidentally get them to fall out of the bag.
Okay.
Do you think you could open the bag and you don't look, but you show it to Alex the judge
That is
and ask him some questions?
You can ask him to look inside and tell you what's in there.
Oh, that'd be good. I like that.
Like there have been challenges. Okay. I'm just going to tell you about one challenge. You are provided an egg cup. It's a small ceramic cup. And you are said, collect as many tears as possible in this cup. You have 10 minutes. So some people try acting it. Some guy shows up with some he goes to the kitchen and grabs some chili sauce to rub in his eyes. Two of them chop up some onions.
Oh,
And the
that's a
final
good idea.
guy says, okay, all the camera crew, I need you guys to cry for me. And he starts like singing them like old Irish ballads. And he won.
They really cried?
He was like a nice older, gray-haired gentleman
Still, yeah. it's,
belting out an old ballad. It worked.
You got to give the credit to the crew there too, though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like really committed to the bit.
I think he also used onions on them. But
That's a good task. I love that.
there are some incredible tasks in this show. I cannot begin to describe.
You see, like when I hear that, I would have done is take a piece of paper and tear it into little pieces and then put it in the cup.
That
Tears of paper.
That would be a win, I think.
Well, we'll never know.
I'm not British.
Do you want me to get started on the U.S. short-lived version of this show?
Oh.
Who is the judge?
The judge is Reggie Watts, which is a weird choice.
Who?
Reggie? He's now like the co-host on James Corden.
Yeah, and his assistant is Little Alex Horn.
Oh.
It uses all the same like music and everything as the UK version, except I think it was on Comedy Central, and each episode is like 22 minutes. It just doesn't really work. You can watch it on ComedyCentral.com. It's really interesting to compare contrast.
Okay. Well, we can talk about who won this episode.
Lolly.
Lolly won.
Yeah.
She's in last place for the season, but she won this particular episode.
Yep. I think she primarily won because she bought a sheep.
I mean, I thought she was doing pretty good at most of these challenges. to
Oh,
be fair.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
Like she should have won more than I think she got credit for. But that's just being,
I mean, she had the most straightforward approach to most of the challenges. Like she would just kind of see it and then just kind of try to do what the spirit of the challenge is and not kind of try and weasel around the rules, I guess.
She has done some like funny takes on tasks in other episodes. I think in retrospect, so I chose this episode because I'd recently seen it. I think I chose it because there's just a ton of great quips in this episode.
A lot of quips.
Love
They
quips.
got the Dwayne Johnson writers for this one.
Oh yeah.
Got to shout out the Fast movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the Fast 9's coming back. Coming right up.
When are we seeing Fast 9?
29th?
The end
Okay.
of June.
Yeah, I'm around. Yeah.
Little interlude for everyone listening to know about the group's plans.
it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, we
See,
got a
talk-
pot after it
talk-
again, right?
talk
Last
about-
time we all saw that movie together.
Talk about minutia.
Listeners, you're
Whoa,
all
whoa.
invited.
We did Fast 7.
Yeah,
We did not do Fast 8.
I don't know why we didn't.
You guys didn't want to do it. I kept trying to get us to do it.
That doesn't sound right. I'm sure I wanted to do it,
I think some of us went to see Fast 8 together.
Oh.
but let us know at who
Maybe-
put this on. If we should do a Fast 9
tweet
podcast.
us. Emails, questions, suggestions.
Max,
gmail.com.
I got to come back here.
Yeah.
I do not see Taskmaster as a credit on Reggie Watts' IMDb.
I've seen the episode, so I don't know what to tell you.
He
Can we make
purged
this
it.
a new bit of the corner where like you got cornered? I feel like the internet corner just got you.
He just removed that from his IMDb. This is too terrible. We're not
be.
highlighting it.
Could be.
Just search for Taskmaster US.
Yeah, I'll go to Google, but I was like, huh.
All right.
I will come back. With
Back in the corner you go.
Yeah.
However, if you go down, there's a CW route. Don't go down that route. It's too complicated.
All right.
That was a stern warning not to avoid that CW route.
You are
I've
right.
never been more curious
It
about
was-
the CW route.
Yeah, it was in 2018. Yeah, it was on
They
Comedy
got
Central.
Lisa Lampanelli for some reason.
But yeah, it's not on his IMDb. Yeah, who knows?
Boom, cornered.
Weird. Bomb.
Yeah.
We need a little zinger sound effect.
Yeah, we need the. Can we get the soundboard, Chris, for Noah's internet corner?
Can I hear your best bomb sounds, James? Sorry to all of our listeners for your eardrums.
Yeah. Who knows how that
You've
went.
been cornered.
All right. You guys ready for some questions? Should we do some questions?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Who is the worst human being?
Nobody.
No one? Trying to think.
Okay, correction. Everybody is really mean to everybody in the show, particularly Greg Davies, but it's all in good fun.
Can I pick on the audience
Yeah,
as being the worst? I hated the audience in this show.
sure.
Whoa.
That's actually fair. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the judge wasn't.
That's new to us.
Like, the judges are usually pretty harsh, but I think the judges, I don't know. Maybe the judge, I don't know. I don't think anyone really deserves it.
Yeah. To build on James's point, I don't think it was a fake laugh track, but they inserted audience laughter that sounded very fake and just a little too manufactured, which was why I'm agreeing with James's audience as the worst people.
Well, there you have it. Is this in the apex or downgrade for the host?
He was in some famous show before this, so I'm gonna say it's sort of the same level.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. He seems like he's been like on 2 series that were like pretty heavy hitters. It seems like this is the first show that he's like. It seems like very much his show.
This kind of seems like his show.
He's
But-
the Taskmaster.
And there's what,
Yeah.
like 14 seasons of this thing?
I think 11 or 12, but
Yeah, there's a lot of seasons.
like I'm sure.
but also
yeah.
each season's like 6 episodes.
yeah, but it's probably once a year. It's been
Yeah,
on for
yeah.
12 years.
Like I'm sure for an analogy that is really just wrong, but the way I'm thinking about this is like George Clooney in ER, like hit show. He's like one of the big stars in it. Now imagine he does this show, but he's like the host of it.
Sure.
It seems like that type of comparison. Again, I'm sure this is really poor analogy, but
I'd buy it.
that's
I'd buy it.
too.
Okay, all right. I don't know. Maybe.
Not a downgrade.
All right. What's the most baffling, cringeworthy moment? Brian, you got one?
So many to choose from.
I think it was got to be like when they tried to blend it up and they failed like so badly.
That looks so. It's gonna be like so gross.
Yeah.
Somebody tried to put water in with it. So it
Well,
would
no,
blend.
I think that was a
That-
great move. Get
Drink
more
it.
blends.
Will it blend?
Yeah.
Annabeth, do you have a baffling, cringeworthy moment?
I mean, watching that man murder the toy camel was not cringeworthy, but very interesting. And then we didn't talk about this, but there was a point where they patched up everybody's camels back together to like give to them as a prize, and then you get to see these like sort of like Frankenstein camels. That was good.
It was very good.
For some reason, the Mel inflating and deflating that stupid thing, that big ball, and being on the show for like 20 seconds, something that literally they told us took like an hour and a half, seems kind of baffling.
It did seem a little bit mean. Like I just felt bad for the person. Like you had to do this horrible thing for a long time. It was like an hour challenge or something, and then it was meaningless.
Can I tell you guys about another challenge?
Get
Yes.
Okay. 4 of them show up to that one room and they open up their thing and it says, create a task. The 5th person has to do 4 tasks that are created by the other people.
Oh, no.
And it doesn't count for anything?
If they correctly guess who assigned them this task among their cast members, they win points.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I thought that was so good.
That's a
That-
good
That
one.
Yeah.
is a good one. Let's do drinking rules.
Oh, I got one
Oh,
baffling
yeah.
thing.
Oh, okay.
So oftentimes throughout this episode, Mel is wearing like a pilot's uniform,
Oh yeah,
like a pilot jumper.
it's kind of fashionable.
Kind of fashionable, also baffling because it's not that practical.
Well, it's more practical than everything Noel wears, which was like at one point he was wearing this like bodysuit with a skeleton on it that was like made of plastic
Also, it was,
and
like,
like
bright
golden
yellow.
high
Yeah.
heels. Like,
very fair, very fair.
Does he-
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
For some reason, the pilot uniform stuck out to me. Maybe I'm just sexist. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you make a very astute counter that Noel's outfit much more baffling.
Does Noel dress like this on Great British Bake Off?
he does indeed. I
Okay.
remember this very clearly. Every episode, Noel's wearing something totally ridiculous.
I'm like vaguely familiar with him on like the fringes of my mind, but I don't think I've like fully watched a season with this guy before.
All right, let's get to drinking rules. And I've got a good one. So before every challenge, you pick somebody. And if they
Oh,
win, you get to give out a drink. If they lose, you drink.
I like it.
That's a good rule. Strong rule.
Anyone else have any other rules? Brian, give me your rule.
I think when they like accentuate saying something funnily, like tortoise,
Oh yeah.
and like it wasn't like their accent, like they were pronouncing it purposely funny.
That's just what they say.
And
So just like Britishisms, like
Yeah.
when they're talking about the bin.
Yes. I like that one.
Annabeth, give me a drinking rule.
Maybe puns. There were puns really factored into this show. I think you can take a sip every time there's a pun.
Max, what do you got for me?
Every time Alex Horn is just like really takes on the persona of somebody's bitch, take a drink.
Very subjective of you. James, do you have a rule?
I do. I will also self-admit that this is a personal rule. I didn't do it, but if I were to watch the show again, I would think this would be good, which is every time you don't get the British joke, take a drink.
Oh, that's good.
Spoilers, that happened a lot to me in this show.
Sorry,
Oh.
buddy.
The bin. The bin.
Didn't get it then.
Noah, do you have a rule?
Yeah, every time the assistant, Alex, when you ask him a question and he just asks you basically that question back in a different voice,
Yeah.
take a drink.
Is this a gap? Is it a gap?
Yeah.
Harrison, do you have one?
How about every time somebody gets disqualified, finish your drink?
Sure. Yeah.
That's great.
That's a good one.
Happens a lot.
Maybe
got-
not finish your drink.
I
but-
got one more drinking rule. Every time you look at Noel and you think he's the birth child of Tommy Lee and Alan Rickman, take a drink.
Brian.
The final rule for like if you really want a bad night, drink every time somebody gets burned.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
I would say drink when you think the person skirted the rules. I think that's good.
That's a legit.
It
good
gives
one.
you like subjective fun thing to watch out for. All right, let's go into our second favorite question. What's the production schedule of this show?
So I'm going to give you a factoid.
We got some Internet Corner production schedule here.
No, I don't know this part, but I think they do the sort of off-screen challenges very far in advance because sometimes they'll show up and it'll say like, buy the Taskmaster. They'll get a little, a note card that says, buy the Taskmaster a gift. Here is £20. You have 20 weeks. Your time starts now.
Oh.
So,
Oh, wow.
just a good factoid for you.
I do think it definitely seems like they mix and match the like off-site stuff into whatever episode they want to like make the episode clearer, I guess.
That's absolutely
They just like definitely do that. So like there's definitely two sections where they like film in that house probably for a couple weeks and then film in this studio for maybe a week. Do each one because I think it'll take.
I never thought about that. You're totally right. Like they're totally chopping this up in whichever which way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they
why
don't know what.
sometimes she's in that pilot outfit, and sometimes she's not.
Yeah.
Like they're not even being trying to be coy about it. It's like
No,
they're
yeah.
like, okay, Each challenge you wear something different. No, because she was wearing the same thing for multiple challenges, so you might even see them across episodes, I'd imagine.
I think that brings up a question then. How many challenges do you think are just totally in the trash pile?
I think
lot.
quite a few. So sometimes there will be ties at the end of the episode. So they will throw in, okay, we have a tiebreaker, and they cut to another off-screen challenge. That are usually like much shorter than the other ones. I don't have an example off
Just
the top
cut
of my
it
head.
shorter.
Yeah. I do think I do want to give a shout out to the editors of the show who really just cut it, I think, exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah. Super good editing.
Let's get to our third favorite question. Would the show be better as a Quibi?
Absolutely not.
They
Or
don't
is it
it's a Roku original.
Is it a Roku original? No. I think you could do one task, but I'm not sure that would be a better show.
It wouldn't be 5 minutes.
No. Like, yeah, I think, so for me, piecing together, the first 6 minutes were painful, oddly. And
I warned you.
yeah, and also knowing that the 22-minute version wasn't really working on Comedy Central, this leads me to believe Roku's not going to buy this.
I mean, it seems to be like that Dismantled show where they like threw food at the wall and then had to recreate that.
Mhm.
That's like just a task. They could do that in the show.
Yeah.
So like, I think you could do one task, but it's got to be outlandish, and like you're not doing any of the setup stuff.
Yeah.
But is that a better show? I wouldn't say so. But so let's go with the no. Should we get into ratings? Are we ready for ratings?
Rate it
Sure,
up.
let's do it. We do a stack ranking system where we do top, middle, bottom, third, based compared to other reality shows. And some people might stack rank
Excuse me.
in their stack ranks. So, Brian, why don't you give it to me?
I'm gonna go bottom of the top. This gave me some good like Impractical Jokers vibes, and even though it's not like super outlandish, it was very entertaining.
What do you got for me, James?
Ooh. This show is going to go in the bottom for me. Going against the grain, I'm sure. But the reasons are very specific, which is one, the audio mix I found atrocious for the show. So much that it was just absurd. The laugh track, the clapping, the audience cues, and just constantly sprinkled in throughout. So much to the point that I couldn't hear the host making their jokes, which kind of compounded because I also don't get British humor very well. So mix that with me not being able to hear it really just set me up for disaster. And I feel like because I couldn't really properly hear it, I just really couldn't properly enjoy it. And so I just got really bored. But having said all that, I did like the tasks. So that part of it is fun. So it will get a top of the bottom from me.
Noah, what do you got?
All very reasonable. Yeah.
This is going in the middle for me, but top of the middle. I appreciate what they're doing. The show got slow at parts. Like, as much as we give them credit for the editing, because I think they edit the challenge very well, I think the back and forth to like what I call the reunion when they're chiming in, I would like a Terrace House style a bit more, where it's more like staying in one place, then going back, like just in bits and pieces, rather than so hoppy. And so for me, that slowed down the show a little bit. The end, I think they could have actually lengthened a little bit, that last challenge. So I think there's a lot of promise. I'm sure this is one episode. I would definitely give it another try to see what else is happening. Middle, top of the middle.
What do you got for me, Max?
Top third, top of the top. I've watched 4 seasons of this in 2 weeks. It's really good.
Woo!
All right, Annabeth, what do you got for me?
I'm gonna put this top of the middle because I love the idea of the tasks. I love these like very open-ended, free-form tasks that are just like a stage for comedy. I thought that was great. And I loved like how everybody kind of genuinely like had a good time like on the set. It seemed like a really fun show to be a part of. And I think I might like it more if I watched more episodes and like got more invested in these particular people. So top of the middle.
Harrison, what do you got?
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a middle third show for me. I mean, I think it was definitely good and entertaining. I liked the tasks a lot. I liked a lot of the banter between the people on the show and the host and all that stuff. I loved both the Taskmaster and the assistant. I thought that it got a little bit long by the end of it. And like I understand, I think, why they tried to make this like a 30-minute show for kind of US purposes. I think that it could be a little bit tighter maybe, but I thought it was good though.
Man, harsh critics. I think it's top third. I agree. It was a little slow, and like back at the audience was not great. Like they definitely need to. Ugh.
I hadn't thought about the audio mix at all, but I completely
But
agree. It's bad.
figure that out. But the challenges were golden. I always wanted to see they're doing with the next challenge. I think a quick jump 30 seconds button really would help the show out a lot, and that's okay with me. Because we watch a lot of garbage. There's a lot of reality garbage out there. So top third, start out with a banger. Thanks, Max. Max suggestion. And that's it for this episode.
Oh, I want to talk about the mommies and daddies of this show.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if...
Or I want to talk about cousins. I want to talk about documental. I want to talk about Impractical Jokers. It is a platform for comedians to be funny.
Well, it's really like, whose line is it anyway?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very, very much the daddy of this show.
I would agree with that, yeah.
It's like weird random challenge, but like this allows the writers to get more involved in like the challenges and stuff, and like gives them more structure so they don't have to be so. Because like, whose line is it anyway? Not many comedians are good in that kind of environment. Like they're just like not gonna happen.
Whose line? It's unbelievable they got the right people for that the first time. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So like this definitely lets comedians do their shtick and doesn't have to like fit into like the whose line shtick, you know.
And this is also very Who's Line in that everything's made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you do get to win a bust of the
Yeah.
the guy at the end of the season. So
The only thing that's less surprising about Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's like it's literally an improv show on TV, and there's a pretty thriving like improv community in the country, right? Like you
Yeah,
can
a lot of
pick and
places.
choose. Whereas like documental in this show, it's not a standard form of comedy. You have to find people that can like swim a little bit, you know, partially an actor. So I feel like you don't have as much of a slam dunk with the show compared to improv on TV.
yeah, but improv is hard. Like
I'm not saying it's easy, but because there's so many people that are very good at it in the country, you can find like top talent and hopefully hit like a home run out of the gate.
I don't know. All right. So should we do shout outs? Brian, do you have a shout out since we've been off for a while? You got anything going on?
Yeah, Master of None season 3. Kind of like because it's been so far along off the air. Like I had to go back and watch season 2, but then it kind of jumps ahead into like a nice point and like feels classic.
Before watching season 3, which I actually haven't watched yet, I rewatched the Thanksgiving episode. It is so fucking good.
Yeah, the Thanksgiving one really, really stood out.
Yeah.
James, do you have a shout out now? Noah, shout out?
I do. So we got a couple coming in here. We've been off the air for a month. If people don't know this, there's a lot of TV that's been going down. I won't recap everything, but some things. New Handmaid's Tale is out. Dark, creepy, scary, and it's excellent. Obviously, we've given a shout out. We had a bet, Brian and I, on the season finale. When will those Quibi shows start showing up on Roku?
I am still adamant they only like announced it like a week after because we made that bet. Like they wouldn't have done anything if we hadn't said something.
What were the stakes?
I think there's still contention because not all the Quibi shows, just some.
Is it not all of them?
No.
There are a couple that didn't make the leap. I think whoever
That-
said it happens, happened.
Who's the Taskmaster? Who do I have to appeal to?
I think for the pod, it's Chris, right?
You know, sometimes.
You're definitely the meanest.
I feel like. what was the. I don't remember what the stakes were. Do you have to have a redneck margarita?
I believe that was the stakes.
Oh,
yeah,
I think so.
It's a redneck margarita, and the bet was the Quibi shows will appear on Roku prior to October, I believe. It was something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was okay with this because I hadn't had a redneck margarita when you first had them. So I've only heard the horror
ever?
stories. Yeah.
That's a big timer.
Well, we can't do
news
that
for
right
ya.
now.
No.
Next time.
No, you need to tell me what the ingredients are so I can go pick them up.
Mountain Dew tequila.
I think I might have tequila.
Thank goodness.
But there's a show called Flipped or Flip It. It's a pretty funny comedy series. I'll give that a shout out. The last one I'll give, so I don't want to take up all the time. Dave season 2 comes out next week. Dave season 1, if you haven't seen it, like I cannot recommend a show any more than it. It is incredible. Go watch it. Shut off this podcast. Go watch that.
Max, you got a shout out?
I have 2 shout outs. One is this show I've watched a ton of called Taskmaster. It's very good.
Oh,
The other one is an anti shout out. One of my friends who doesn't listen to this podcast and has questionable taste told me to
Clearly.
watch The Nevers on HBO, which is the latest Joss Whedon thing.
Joint. It's a joint.
Joint, yeah.
Joss Whedon joint. Get it?
It's one of the clunkiest shows I've ever seen, but unfortunately the core mystery kind of rules, but I wouldn't recommend it. But if you watch it, it's good background TV. It's good background TV. But it's not good.
Okay.
I'm so
Some
confused.
nebulous.
It's an anti shout out.
I'm just gonna stick with Taskmasters.
I've seen 3 episodes of this.
It gets
and
better.
it's like hard for me to like. I have no motivation to watch the remaining 3, other than it seems like there's a crazy ending
Yeah.
that people tell me,
Yeah.
and that kind of motivates me. But I agree with you. It's like meandering and like, what's this show about? And like,
It's it's easily the clunkiest thing I've
yeah,
ever seen on
just like,
HBO.
there's no through.
Mayor of Easttown. Great show. Watched all of it. Great through and through. Would recommend. 10 out of 10.
there's only 6 episodes of The Nevers.
Yes.
It's that hard?
It's really clunky.
I wouldn't say it's hard. It's just like there's no plot line moving forward that I'm like really compelled to keep watching. Anyway, Annabeth, you got a shout out this week?
Harrison introduced me to a wonderful show called Pawn Stars
Oh,
that
my
I am
God.
really into. It's got some great weird objects. It's got haggling. It's just overall a delight.
Oh my God.
Annabeth, are you going to go to the Pawn Star shop next time you're in Vegas?
Yeah, absolutely. I've never been to Vegas, so this is now like top of my list.
Who's your favorite Pawn Star?
Rick, the dad, not Dirtbag Son. Dirtbag Son.
What about
is terrible.
Chumlee?
Chumlee, I love. I do like Chumlee a lot.
That's the right answer.
Old man is too mysterious for me to rank.
I can't believe this is happening.
What?
Recommending Pawn Stars on this show?
Oh, it's Chris. It's so good.
It's not good. Don't watch Pawn
Yes.
We've
Stars.
done it on the show, haven't we?
Yeah, we
We've had
have.
to.
A
I
long
can't remember
time
what
ago.
our rating was.
Like season 1. It might even be before ratings.
Man.
there was a time before ratings.
I don't know about that.
I think there was a time before ratings.
Wow.
Fuck, we're gonna have to go to the data.
Got to bring it back. Well, retroactively, I wasn't there, but top third.
We're gonna get your rating added to it and see if we can bump that retro score up.
Oh,
That is a
man.
good quality show.
No, not. Make up the prices. It's all fake. Like, get out of here.
No, it's all real.
Harrison, you also shouting out Pawn Stars.
I mean, there's been a lot of Pawn Stars going on at our place, so yeah, it's probably gonna have to be Pawn Stars this week.
all right. I was gonna shout out Mayor of Easttown. Very good. Really like that show. I think.
Sorry for stealing that from you.
It came together really well. My second shout out is Fast. I've been watching the Fast movies in preparation for Fast 9,
Oh.
and like, there's some real questionable. Like Fast 7, what's that plot? Like,
Okay,
it's
sure,
such
but
a,
5
like,
is so good.
5 peak.
Yeah,
Peak.
easy.
It's very good.
I feel
7
like eight is also pretty good.
I
watched
haven't
8
gotten
recently.
8. I haven't watched 8. 8's next.
8 holds up.
8
You're
was
gonna
good.
like 8.
It was good.
And Justice for Han. I need more Justice for Han here. Like, I need that coming back to me at Fast 9. They better do a good job.
You can't be bringing up fast topics when there's no spoilers allowed, Chris. No trailer spoilers, even. I've
I
been
didn't
told.
talk about the trailer.
I know. I'm just telling you, we can't. We
I'm not-
gotta.
I haven't watched
This is a
it.
dangerous game.
I haven't watched the trailer. James, I can't spoil it.
I know. Some of us have seen the trailer, so I have to abstain from comments.
All right. Well, maybe you'll see a future pod. Fast 9.
Can
Anyway.
it be brought to you by Corona?
Yes. The only we only live a quarter mile at a time, James.
And one redneck margarita.
That's true. Well, I'll bring the bucket of Coronas, but Brian gets the rednecks.
Ugh. All right. Well, you can find us on Twitter at whowiththison, facebook.com/whowiththison. You can email us questions and suggestions at whowiththison@gmail.com. We'll see you guys next time.
Joss Whedon's pretty accomplished.
Look at how shriveled his like thing is. No, that. No, look at this.
What are you pointing at, Max?
I will say
It's
it's
an
even
audio
like the
podcast.
right shape.
Thank you? Question mark?
It's been compressed for so long.